Hi, I'm Virginia with the Nutrition Specialists of Northeastern Oklahoma. Today I'm going to talk to you about GERD, or gastroesophageal reflux disease, heartburn, reflux, things like that. Why we need to avoid those things, and what generally are triggers of GERD. When we eat foods, it goes through our esophagus into our stomach. Our stomachs produce acid, and that acid actually helps break down the foods that we eat. So we need acid in our stomachs. However, when our stomach becomes too acidic, or we're eating foods that irritate our stomach, that acid can go up through what's called your lower esophageal sphincter, which is basically kind of like a valve in between your esophagus and your stomach. So acid can get through that lower esophageal sphincter up into your esophagus. The reason we do not want that is because, well, it is acidic, and it can wear away. It can deteriorate the lining of our esophagus. And over time, that can cause lots of problems. One of which is Barrett's esophagus, which is basically a precancerous condition to esophageal cancer. It can lead to esophageal cancer. It can also lead to stricture, which is the narrowing of the esophagus. So that makes it harder for foods to travel down your esophagus into your stomach safely. So generally, I'm going to go through what normally causes GERD for most people. Everyone is different, so what might cause someone to have some GERD or acid reflux won't necessarily cause the other person to have acid reflux. But in general, there's several things that can be triggers. So I'm going to go through each of these things. And what I will say, I'm not saying that you can't eat any of these things. What we in general recommend is no more than 2 GERD triggers per day and no more than 1 per meal. Now that may vary person to person, but in general, no more than 2 GERD triggers per day and no more than 1 per meal. All right, so to start, any sort of tomato product or tomato-based product, tomatoes obviously included, but marinara sauce, pizza sauce, salsa, tomato soup, all of these things, they're highly acidic, so they can definitely cause GERD. Any sort of citrus fruit, oranges, lemons, limes, anything like that, again, highly acidic. Spicy foods, hot sauces, jalapenos, any sort of spicy food can definitely trigger some reflux and heartburn. Coffee also, caffeine, tea, anything that has caffeine in it can also cause heartburn. Carbonated beverages, any sort of carbonated beverages can definitely cause heartburn. Unfortunately, chocolate also can cause heartburn. Unusually also peppermint and spearmint, which I know most people wouldn't think, but yes, peppermint and spearmint can also trigger heartburn. Dairy is kind of an unusual one. You would think, because dairy is kind of a base, that it wouldn't cause heartburn. The problem with dairy is if you are eating a lot of dairy, drinking a giant glass of milk, it's going to raise the pH in your stomach, make it more basic. And your body's way of reacting to that is to pump out more acid. So it ends up kind of overcompensating to create an acidic environment instead of a basic environment, and you can end up with reflux if you're drinking or eating too much dairy. Butter, anything that's cooked with butter, or like really fatty foods, anything deep fried, fast food is generally all deep fried, and it's generally very high in like saturated fats and things like that. All of those foods can definitely cause heartburn by creating a more acidic environment in your stomach. And again, that travels up through your lower esophageal sphincter into your esophagus, burning the inside of your esophagus. And that is what we do not want. So really, we don't want to eliminate these things entirely, but we do want to, if these are the things that you love, that you want to eat, we just want to limit the intake of these to, like I said earlier, no more than 2 per day and no more than 1 per meal. So if you really want, some French fries and a burger, let's not have a soda. Let's stick with water for that. If you are really wanting some pasta, you can choose, instead of marinara sauce, you can choose a pesto or, a low-fat Alfredo sauce, something like that. If you're really wanting soup, let's stick with, a vegetable-based soup, not tomatoes, something other than that. For fruit, there are a lot of, non-acidic or less acidic fruits, bananas, apples, things like that, berries. We can always choose those instead. When we're cooking, instead of cooking with butter, we can cook with olive oil or coconut oil or any other plant-based oil to lower that risk of developing heartburn or reflux. Just in general, we can limit the amount of coffee that we drink or tea that we drink in a day. If you really want something sweet at the end of the day, let's make that one of our GERD triggers, instead of, just eating everything in one day. So it's not really about eliminating entirely. It's just about monitoring how much we are eating and when we are eating it. We're going to be less likely to develop GERD if we eat these things for lunch instead of dinner. And after a meal, we do want to make sure that we are sitting upright for at least 30-45 minutes after a meal. That way it helps, gravity can help keep things where they're supposed to be and help eliminate any sort of heartburn that we can have. So we hope this gives you a better understanding of the things that can cause heartburn, and how we can incorporate these things into our daily meals. For more tips and recipes, subscribe to our YouTube channel.